Hi, and welcome to Traumaplicity podcast. My name is Dr. Amanda Helman, and Traumaplicity is trauma plus simplicity, meaning simple steps that we take after negative experiences or traumas, one event or multiple events that could happen. It could be medical traumas, loss in relationship, racial trauma, sexual trauma, physical trauma, emotional traumas, even relational with family or things that we have experienced. And what we want to do is identify what happened through it, and then how can we move forward and empower people to take it one step at a time. And this time we're in series 3, which is all about beliefs. In the first 10 episodes, I explain what beliefs are. And then I go through the top 10. I'm actually writing a book on the top 20 with my cognitive release mapping. Stay tuned. It's a practical tool to help you through it and really flip your thinking. But then I'll also have 10 of my clients share some of their testimonies of how their beliefs have changed and they can move forward. Today, we're going to talk about the belief, I am seen. And a lot of people don't feel seen. And so, what is I am seen? What does that mean to you? And perhaps you've had something happen like that, where you might not have felt seen. You might not have felt seen. And the truth is, a lot of times this happens when we're young. So we may not have felt seen. Maybe someone said something, or we didn't get picked in the little Christmas pageant, or in our head, it just started to say, well, I don't deserve to be seen. And when we're young, think baby, 1 year old, 2 years old, 3 years old, we're not going to be able to say, hey, I didn't feel seen. Hey, I felt hurt. I felt sad. I felt shocked. We didn't have that vocabulary. And so as kids, we don't have the vocabulary to share what happened to us and how that impacted us. And it had caused really some pain in our belief systems. And as an adult, if we don't take care of it, because we don't know how deep it is, every time we don't feel seen, we shut down. I don't feel seen. I feel invisible. I feel no one sees me. I don't feel I feel like people look past me. I feel like I'm, never getting selected. I'm ignored. And a lot of these different thinking are the inner dialogues. And what happens is one thought becomes attached to the other ones. And then you have a whole dialogue in your head. And I call that the inner dialogue. And it actually impacts the right side of our head, our right amygdala, where we start replaying these thoughts. And even more wild is that our family thinking happens. How many times do people say, oh, I'm just like so and so? It's not that you're just like them. It's just that the trauma memory, the memory of the negative experiences and the emotions came together and married, and they stayed and impacted your DNA. That's why when people say, oh, wow, I thought I am what when I was a kid, and I don't know where it came from. Well, the answer is it came from, if it's not from you, your family line, things that your family had thought, experiences that they had, and perhaps you might have had too, and bam, all of a sudden you have this thought that may not be true about your life. Just it's an experience, but it's not true most of the time. But what it is it's an experience that you and your family have experienced, and it is going to impact you until it gets uncovered, uprooted, and changed. And in neuroscience, it is possible. Neuroplasticity is that we can shift our thinking. Neurogenesis, new neurons happen more than we think now. There's so much research. And the best thing is when we don't feel seen, there is hope. So when we don't feel seen, what happens is people feel like, yeah, I have to be invisible. So I'm just going to hide. I'm going to be in the background. Other people are better than me. I have to hide. I have to do X, Y, Z. I can't share. I can't speak. I have to go into this, as an author, this genre, because it's going to hide me. If I'm in acting, I have to go in the background. I can't be out in front. We start to act like shyness or quiet, or we shut down talking, or we're anxious to talk because we had negative experiences that made us think, well, I can't talk. I can't be sharing because people make fun of me or they'll cut me down. And these are all lies. And what happens in not feeling seen is that people want to hide, even in relationships. We might shut down. We might not talk to other people. We might hide instead of going on dates. We might think based on negative experiences, yeah, I'm not going to be chosen. I'm not going to ever be chosen in a relationship, or they're not going to see me or understand me, and they're not really going to see me, right? We feel unseen. And so it causes this this thing in our lives where we're constantly feeling like that. And then we don't show up. We don't show up as we should because we feel so unseen because of all the experiences in our life. But it is not true. There are ways to see you. It is possible to be seen, and there is hope. And so, even in life, when generations hide, we can hide from doing what we're called to and say, yeah, I'm just going to settle for this. And we don't say it settling, like, no, this is just what I need to do. And we start to push down our dreams and hopes because we haven't seen it. And we've had so much disappointment and devastation that we actually don't come into and follow into our great calling. And every single person has something, no matter what it is. And we continue to journey along if we're open to it, to keep learning new skills. It takes time to learn something and grow in it. And so, are you willing to grow in it and learn? And there are things within you that are waiting to be birthed so that you can move into your greatest different gifts and talents. When we use a gift and talent, we actually get more. It's kind of a principle of, if I hide it, I may not get any more because I'm hiding it, thinking that I can't be seen. And it's not about the recognition of, well, I have to get recognized. It's more of doing it because you have a call to speak, to write, to draw, to act, to lead, and you're still hiding. And it's time to come out, to know that you're seen. And once you can be your own cheerleader, no matter what happens, you start being seen and showing up in relationships. You show up for yourself. You show up for your family. You show up for your job. You show up in your gifts and talents, and it will change not only you, but the people and the atmosphere that you are in. And so, with being seen, so many people, when I talk to clients, I've worked with clients on the I am seen, it's a high pain point. And I usually say low, medium, high, or there's a range. And quite honestly, after one session, and sometimes there might be a few more, but after one session, people go down and they're like, oh my gosh, because we identify those dialogues and negative thinking. We rewire the brain and we unlock their potential and get them into action steps moving forward so that they can keep going and become everything they're called to be. So I hope this helps you. It is important, and identify what is it that you may not feel seen in. And we sometimes say, oh no, that's too much. But really, why? Whatever that is that you're called to, it doesn't mean that you have to vie for attention, but show up in what you're called to do, whether that's with people, using your voice, and knowing that you have something that you're valuable, right? That also goes with seen. That's a whole other talk, but that you are seen, that you matter, you're loved, you're valuable at all times, no matter what other people think. When you know that you're seen and you walk in being seen, regardless of what happens, there is a difference that happens. All right. Well, my name is Dr. Amanda Helman. This is a short stint of our Traumaplicity show. It happens every week. I'll be doing these short belief statements that I've seen when I coach clients, how they've moved, how it can impact their lives. Stay tuned for the book, and also stay tuned for my clients who will share some of the techniques I've helped them with and how that has moved them and accelerated them. Because if there's anything that I love, it's seeing people move, right? I'm a person who knows that there's results. I help you get results in your thinking, in your doing, in your belief systems. I've seen it 100%, 100% of the time that people have shifts in their thinking, in what they do, in their goals, in their personal and professional lives. And there has been 100%. And people are willing. There are times that people have blocks. They still have things that God does in them, right? And that could be with God or people who aren't. There's people that are believers and people who aren't believers that I work with. And they still shift. There has been 100%. And there's only one time that the person was so blocked, and I knew it was a sensitive thing because they had like lost their parents, and the really thing that they need to release was grief. But what God wanted to do in them was encourage them at the time. And he did some, but it was such a block. And so we worked through that. So the person got empowered during the session. It was different in that it was an empowerment they needed. It was different in that they needed affirmation because they had lost the people who affirmed them the most. And so in that one, I still considered it a win because it was an affirmation of the person and they weren't ready for the avalanche of release of the grief because it was so sudden. And it was interesting to me because I'm used to just seeing things shift, but that person had so much they didn't, that it was like, okay, what's going on? And God's so, God's sensitive because that person was a believer. um and so they were sensitive, and I wanted to be sensitive to their journey. So that's when sometimes things are a little slower, in that I don't push. I'll challenge people in their thinking, but when there's something that with grief, or there's things that are sensitive and we're scared, like there's different techniques, but I won't, there's a time when the person has to be ready and willing. And there's a time when the body has to connect everything. And that's a sensitive timing. So one thing that I do even in coaching is make sure people are safe, they feel loved, and they feel heard at all times, and seen. And those are important things as a coach. And really, then we can accelerate. So once they release these things, we can set goals, and they start going marketing, sharing. I have people that are going to their book fairs. They're confident, the confidence source. And that is the key. That's what I help people get true results in, is confidence. Confidence to keep moving forward. And it doesn't have to be hard. It comes as you uproot everything else. All right, everybody, tune in on Wednesdays for Traumaplicity podcast. Next week, I'll be sharing sharing the belief of I deserve great things. All right, take care.